again. It's the third video. We left off in the middle of a movie last time, and it's one of the first movies to show character development. And because of character development, you don't always, sometimes you wish well for the character, sometimes you don't wish well. This was a character we saw being quite the glutton, eating a lot and drinking a lot and getting more than a little sick and tizzy from it. And I want to finish that video to show the special effects that the director used, and special effects that had not been seen before. So this is Dream of a Rarebit Fiend, and just to remind you, rarebit refers to eating toast with melted cheese on it, which, if you recall, he ate a lot of. And again, the music was added much after. These were all silent films. People sat there, and if there was not a live performer, they just watched silent film. Sorry, it just went away for a second. So notice the camera doesn't move, and the actor has to overact to make it clear what he's doing. Without dialogue, without sound, it's of course harder to show what you're going through. So as you can see, the actor is has to overact it, and you can see on the bottom things are crawling away as he is starting to hallucinate from, again, eating too much and of course drinking too much. Stop action photography, where he doesn't move, so they stop the cameras, they move the furniture, roll cameras, and stop and start. So stop action animation, actually, you're seeing there as the furniture goes away. Now we're doing, again, superimposure, where we superimpose different shots above him. And you'll notice kind of a split screen effect here. They don't try to make it like they're actually hitting him with the hammers and the pitchforks. But again, such special effects had not been seen before, so they get the idea of little satanic figures trying to hurt his head. The idea, when you drink too much, your head hurts a lot. Again, he has to overact, and we go back to the wide shot. Here what we do most likely is a miniature. They make a small version of everything, including the bed, and they bounce it around. Or of course it could be a superimposure. Either way, such special effects again had not been seen. And of course it flies out the window. So again, we don't like this character that much. We don't wish him that much well. We'll move ahead a little bit, where he flies off the bed a little bit. And there's some views of New York City that most people have not seen at that time. Very few people flew in those days. You'll watch another bit of special effect. As he falls, you don't actually see him get caught by the weather vane, because that would be a little difficult for special effects at that time. So essentially it was a break in continuity. We see him fall, then we see him hanging like this. We don't see how this happened. But again, the special effects for the time were quite extraordinary. And he falls, a little piece of his pajamas staying on the weather vane. And you'll see another break in continuity. He ends up in his bed. We see the roof cave in, then we cut to him, a stop action, and you see him on the ground, again, overreacting. That's the nature of what you have to do in such movies. Overreact to make people see what you're doing. And that was, again, Dream of a Rarebit Fiend. It was storytelling. As we talked about, the early movies were just watching people do normal life, which at the beginning was extraordinary, to watch people moving. We take this, of course, all for granted. We take so much technology for granted. We take special effects for granted. We appreciate them, and we appreciate how they help the movie. We appreciate the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park looking real, but we still take it for granted. Back in 1902 when this movie came out, we did not take it for granted at all. It was quite an extraordinary thing, and people were amazed and amused by it. This film we're about to see, some of, from 1902, was on the list of top 100 greatest movies of all time. It's Georges Méliès's Trip to the Moon, recognized as as the first science fiction film. As we are learning, directors can tell stories. Directors are learning that perhaps by using some creative special effects, we can do whatever we want. We can take people wherever we want. That's the thrill of movies. They can take people to places they've never been. And of course, movies can take us to places that maybe don't exist or we can't go. What you're about to see is, again, Méliès's movie, A Trip to the Moon. We're not going to watch the whole thing. You're also going to hear it with the music of the David Short Bill Brass Quintet, which was added much later. Again, another silent film from 1902. Again, it's a longer film, and we're not going to see the whole thing, but we'll talk about it and go through it a little bit. The first science fiction film. Think about this. In 1902, we had not flown a plane yet. This is before the Wright brothers. We didn't know anything about flying. We obviously had not seen the moon close up. So when we talk about flying, when we talk about going to the moon, we talk about what life would be like on the moon, nobody knows. You'll notice again here the camera doesn't move. And we have figures that are very pompous and very important people, obviously, and they are having a meeting. I'll skip ahead a little bit, because not a lot goes on here for an extended period. The brass quartet plays some cool music, but not much goes on. And this goes on, so far we're at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. We have congratulations, they've made decisions, and people wear really cool hats. So far, nothing spectacular. In fact, it's been 4 minutes of just setup as they, again, overact, walk out to the next scene, which is, of course, building the spaceship. Again, people had not even flown in a plane in 1902, let alone flown to the moon. So knowing nothing about it, this could be, as much as anybody knows, what would happen. People banging hammers, as you can see here, and people with nice hats going in and out of the spaceship. And this goes on for a while. Again, we've never seen anything like this because we have no frame of reference. This is a moment where the director can do whatever he wants because it's all a new idea. Here we superimpose a shot of the city with the smoke, and it's a rare look of animation with smoke in the background that the scientists who are about to go on the spaceship can look at. And again, they overact with great excitement and joy at what they are viewing, as they apparently are testing the ship and doing test runs. Now they're ready to get on the ship. Now, of course, we know astronauts wear space helmets and outfits and oxygen, but again, with no frame of reference, this could be how it would happen. And they get in the ship, being escorted by a lovely woman who helps them all in. And they all wear nice clothes and nice hats. And how do they get the spaceship ready to take off? Lovely women push it into the means by which they'll shoot it. And how does a mission to the moon start? With lovely women and a person with a sword. We're about to see again some special effects that had never been seen by anybody. A ship taking off for the moon. This is from the spaceship's point of view. What it would look like to get close to the moon. And we always hear about the man in the moon. Well, They're literally getting close to a man on the moon. A person's face superimposed. We see a break in continuity when the ship hits the man in the eye. We see people landing on the moon, get off, and what do? You immediately jump up and down on the moon. In reality, the moon's about 100 degrees below zero quite often. So these people would freeze to death within seconds. But it's 1902 and we don't know. So they jump about, they're very pleased with themselves. Here the director does quite an ingenious thing. He gives the astronauts perspective of the Earth rising up over the moon. A brilliant idea, because they would actually get that perspective. And occasionally things blow up. Then they go to sleep. Again, in reality, there's no oxygen and it's about 100 below zero, but what the heck? It's a movie. More special effects as we superimpose the stars above the astronauts and the people in the stars looking down on the astronauts. They wake up and it's snowing. Nobody knows at this point what the moon would look like close up. And this is an extraordinary visualization of it because people don't know. They don't know about the atmosphere or the lack of atmosphere on the moon. Then they go underground. And they explore, again, overacting as you much do with silent films. But then, frighteningly, of course they have umbrellas, turns out they're not the only life on the moon. The umbrella becomes a giant mushroom. And the monkey people come. Not knowing if they're harmful or not, they don't take any chances. They hit them with umbrellas. Again, stop action photography, special effects. As they get hit, they explode into powder. Then they're kidnapped and taken to the chamber. They escape. They run toward their ship to get away, being chased by the very acrobatic monkey men. How do you take off from the moon? You get everybody in the ship, and you push. Or in this case, pull. Special effects including the splashing as they come back to Earth, and the bubbles that would come through. The ship floats back to the surface, and their astronauts are rescued and brought back to home, where they're given a hero's welcome, with the same women congratulating them. They're still there from when they took off. The audience had been taken on a trip to the moon, and for all they know, this could be how it's done. Extraordinary special effects telling a story. None of the characters are developed. The idea is the story more than the characters. We have brave people, we have brilliant scientists, and they had an extraordinary adventure where they showed courage. This is a story-driven film as opposed to a character-driven film. But here's the monkey man that got taken back. And they, of course, will deal with him later. And they'll be remembered forever for their courage. As things happened back then, the female characters were minimized. The female characters were just there to help the men. Women eventually would get more prominent roles. In fact, in the next movie we're going to see, in part 4, video 4, you'll see one of the most famous movies, the first epic movie of all time. One of the first truly controversial films, at the same time a great film. We'll talk about, can a film be great and show morally wrong things at the same time? We'll talk about that next time. See you soon.